What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a triple buffed legendary team in the Open Great League with both Regieleki and Regidrago together, as well as Shadow Lugia. Now I actually tried out Shadow Lugia and Regieleki as a core earlier this season in an ABB style team with a double Volt Switch backline, but it just did not work out for me at all. I think the electric typing is really strong into so many meta Pokemon right now, but it just does not work as a safe swap. There are way too many ground types, and more specifically Mud Slappers, that can shield once, fully farm you down, and come out with nearly 2 charge attacks loaded. So this time I tried Regieleki in the lead, and it worked out so much better for me. Now before we get into the question of the day, I want to give a quick couple of shout outs to C Tapia and Old Schooler for their gifted memberships in my recent live stream. Between them they gifted 70 memberships, which is absolutely insane support. So if you have found that you are now a channel member and you didn't really know why, it's probably due to one of these 2 subscribers. So thank you very much to both of you, and with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon do you think works really well in the lead position but struggles massively as a safe swap or a closer? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Regieleki into Credilli. So of course, not a great matchup for me. I will be safe swapping straight away into Regidrago. I did use Regidrago as the safe swap, and here the opponent's actually running Bullet Seed. So at this point, of course, I'm resisting the fast move damage. Rock Tomb is going to debuff my attack. They then come in with a Bastiodon. How on earth does this team make any sense? Either way, we are going to go for a Dragon Energy. Unfortunately, having been debuffed, and of course that is resist damage, it really does not do much. But I'm hoping what I can do, throw a second Dragon Energy, and then bank a third one, swap out, clear the debuff, of course, and the opponent also throws on poor timing. So we get a full Volt Switch in for free. They fire off the Stone Edge. I go for 2 Volt Switches, and I farm up to back-to-back Thunder Cages. Thunder Cage is going to grab a shield. It also drops their defense there, meaning this second Thunder Cage is definitely going to get the KO if they no shield, which they do. Now remember, of course, we did bank a move on the Regidrago. They come back in with Credilli, and I can force a CMP tie. Thunder Cage, once again, going to debuff the opponent's defense there, and of course, it is going to connect. The opponent does not need to shield that, but we can, of course, let the Rock Tomb go through. They actually undercharge that, getting slightly more farm. So instead of giving them extra energy, I'm actually going to come in straight away with the Lugia, shield up the Rock Tomb, and their final Pokemon is a Dusclops. So unfortunately, Lugia not having a great time into this team, but we're able to full send an Aeroblast. Remember, of course, I had just been debuffed there, so it doesn't quite get the KO, but the opponent not on Poltergeist. They actually go for Ice Punch there, which is quite an interesting play, but either way, Fly grabs the final shield. Now I can come in, snipe with the Regidrago. Dragon Energy gets the KO there, and actually I'm able to live one more Bullet Seed, get the Dragon Breath farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Corviknight in the lead. So this is a great lead matchup for the Regieleki, and it looks like the opponent was lacking a little bit there at the start. Not really sure how many turns they missed out on, but I'm going straight for Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage grabs a shield, and now we see a swap into Credilli. So this time, I'm going to bank a Thunder Cage before coming in with the Regidrago. The opponent fires off the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb, of course, going to debuff my attack there. I'm not too worried about that. Dragon Energy still going to do decent damage in this matchup. The opponent gonna no-shield the first move there, and actually allowing me to reach another Dragon Energy, potentially once again lagging, although I'm actually not entirely certain that is the case. Potentially, maybe just looking to farm up to back-to-back charge moves here before throwing the Rock Tomb. I believe they do have a move loaded if they haven't been lagging, so I am just going to go straight for Thunder Cage here, get the KO before they can debuff my attack, and the opponent's going to come in with their final Pokemon, a Dedenne, and things are looking great for me, of course. I can shield this. They're going to go for Parabolic Charge. This is going to boost up the defense, but it does not help them as I can reach a Hyper Beam, and Regieleki, super attack weighted, even with a boost to their defense, it still gets the KO there, and the opponent, honestly, still don't know if they're lagging or if they have just conceded the match there, but either way, I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Shadow Sizzle in the lead. So this should be a positive matchup for us, but these bullet punches do still add up quite a fair bit. I'm going to shield the first one. I'm actually going to farm up to back-to-back charge moves here before throwing, and unfortunately, because I have not gone for a Thunder Cage yet, I haven't debuffed the defense, I can't quite commit to a full farm down. Now, the opponent lets the move go through there. They're going to come in with Feraligatr, so potentially very weak to Regieleki in the back, but that Shadow Sizzle got me so low already, and they are so weak, but Regieleki just has no bulk here, even though we do have the typing to actually just completely destroy their team. Unfortunately, it's not quite going to play out that way, but we land a Hyper Beam. The opponent fires off just an Ice Beam there, meaning I can tank it. The opponent not able to commit to a full farm down before I reach a second Hyper Beam, so I'm actually going to do bank the energy, swap into Regieleki, and unfortunately, just barely not getting the full Volt Switch snipe there, which means I go down as I get to the charge move there. That is certainly not ideal, but we come in with the Shadow Lugia. The opponent full sends the Ice Beam, but Lugia is bulky. We can just barely hang on, reach a last second fly, grabs the final shield, and once again, Regidrago banked a ton of energy. We go straight for Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy gets the KO there, couple more Dragon Breaths, gets the farm down up against the Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle. We're going to see Quagsire in the lead. So, of course, not a great lead matchup for me. Going to be safe swapping into Regidrago, and unfortunately met with Galarian Weezing. Now, of course, I'm not going to bother shielding here. The opponent is going to go ahead and fire off a Sludge, and if they commit to a farm down, I can actually reach a Hyper Beam here. And Hyper Beam is not respected, but unfortunately, it does not quite get the KO there, and that's what I found. Basically, every single time I reached a Hyper Beam with Regidrago up against those fairy types, they just barely hang on every single time, and unfortunately I needed to flip switch advantage here, although I guess Regieleki is still going to have a lot of problems up against Morpeko, but either way, Lugia not in a great position, but Dragon Tails, they are adding up over time. Of course, they're just going to continue to boost up their attack stat with these Aura Wheels. First one they threw on poor timing, this time they are going to throw on much better timing as they fire off a second Aura Wheel. I'm going to double shield here, I'm going to look to overfarm by one more Dragon Tail, fire off the fly, but at this point the opponent actually can just no shield that. So what we're going to do, bank a charge move, we come back in with Regieleki, and I believe the opponent has to go for a Stone Edge here, and they do. Stone Edge gets the one shot, and now my only win condition is if the opponent, for whatever reason, calls a bait here. So we full send the Aero Blast, it unfortunately gets shielded, and the opponent just playing it safe, full sending a Stone Edge, and Stone Edge easily takes out Shadow Lugia from that range, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's up on there, into the next battle, going to see a Toedscruel in the lead. So of course, that is not ideal for me in the slightest. We say swap into Regidrago, and if we can, we're going to look to flip switch advantage, as of course, Regieleki, unless we get to a Hyper Beam, just can't deal much damage at all. It's going to be triple resisted into that Toedscruel. So here, we grab a shield advantage, they grab a shield back from us, but we can reach a second Dragon Energy here. Now, it just depends, can they fully farm me down? The opponent is actually not going to take that risk. That is huge for me. So at this point, of course, I'm going to let Regidrago go down. We've got a shield advantage. As long as they don't hard counter Lugia, Lugia is very dangerous up a shield. Now, the opponent is going to bank some energy, but they swap into Blastoise, and Blastoise not going to resist the flying typing, meaning we can just shield this up here, as of course Hydro Cannon gonna do more damage than a wrap from the Toedscruel. I'm full sending Aeroblast. This time all shields are down, it gets the one shot there, and we can also reach a fly into Toedscruel, coming back in, fly, super effective, gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. Excuse me there. GG's to that opponent into next battle. Another bad lead for the Regieleki. I said Regieleki was better here in the lead matchup. Well, the thing is, it's just not going to get completely shut down by ground types in the lead because, you know, if we can grab a shield advantage or something, then Lugia can pop off. But unfortunately, once again, another fairy type just barely hanging on there. Not able to flip switch advantage. At this point, just going to no shield this, hoping Lugia can sweep once again. But this time, we don't have a shield advantage, and the opponent is going to have a turret in the back. So once again, just a complete hard counter to my team. Not much I can do here other than full sending an Aeroblast and maybe getting the KO and as well getting a boost. But we get neither of those things. So as a result, there's no point shielding here. The opponent just barely gonna outpace me to that next charge move. Swift gets the KO. And I could have just top left it here, but the opponent gonna fire off another charge move. Of course, Swift from this range will be taking out Regieleki. And unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up in there. Some games are just going to be completely unwinnable for you. But into the next battle, a much better lead matchup for me. Leading into Talonflame, they're going to say swap into Dragalge. So I can come in with the Shadow Lugia, of course, hitting for super effective damage with my Dragon Tails. Arctotail also non-stab, not dealing too much damage there. I'm now going to fire off a Fly. Fly is going to be shielded by the opponent. And here I don't really need switch advantage because Regidrago going to be fine into the Talonflame. So I will no shield this and I can reach a second Fly. Fly, number 2, actually gets the KO there. The opponent is going to lose switch advantage and be down a shield. We can come in with Regieleki, but unfortunately we lag one turn as we come in there, meaning this is now a CMP tie, which is much worse for me because if the opponent didn't get that, well, if we didn't get the lag there, of course, I could get an extra volt switch through as they throw that charge move. But either way, we swap into Regidrago as, honestly, the boosted Incinerates would do a ton of damage, but their final Pokemon gonna be Greninja. And of course, we full send the Hyper Beam. It gets the KO there, and we're able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle, Regieleki into Clodsire. So once again, another ground type in the lead, but we're going to say swap into Regidrago. And I'm actually not going to throw straight away because I realize Dragon Energy isn't going to threaten a shield necessarily, but if they go for an Earthquake here, then swap out, then suddenly they come in with a less bulky Pokemon, and Dragon Energy is going to be forcing shields back. So we get to 2 of them before they even reach a foul play. We grab both shields there, and I should still just barely outpace them to the next charge attack. I'm going to shield here. They go for foul play, and again we reach another Dragon Energy before they get to foul play number 2. We flip switch advantage. The opponent's going to come in with Amanda Buzz. Of course, Regieleki going to be great in this matchup, but I'm going to go straight for Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy is going to connect, of course. All shields are down. If they commit to a full farm down, then we get to yet another charge attack, and now we should be looking fine. I'm going to swap into my Lugia. Actually, it doesn't go through for some reason, but it doesn't really matter. Lugia, even in its shadow form, is bulky enough to tank a non-stab Stone Edge, and I should be able to reach another Aeroblast. And once again, when shields are down, Shadow Lugia absolutely going to deal huge damage. Aeroblast gets the one shot there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We're going to see Regieleki into a Scizor once again. However, this time they're on Fury Cutter, so not as ideal for me. Fury Cutters are kind of chunky. I'm going straight for Thunder Cage here. Thunder Cage is going to drop the defense there, and it does grab a shield as well. Of course, I'm going to shield. They go for Trailblaze, so I'm actually going to swap out there as they would outpace me just barely to a Night Slash. So we're going to come in with the Regidrago. They go for Night Slash there, and I'm committing to a full farm down, but they do reach another charge move. So at this point, going to shield, go for that full farm down, and they're going to come in with a Giratina. So honestly, I was ready to go for a Hyper Beam, but Hyper Beam would have been a certain mistake there as it's double resisted. We grab the final shield. We can come in with the Shadow Lugia, but we are in a little bit of an awkward situation. The opponent swaps into a Gastrodon here, and unfortunately, they do just barely outpace me to a Water Pulse. Now, I'm in an awkward situation because, unfortunately, Fly not really going to put them into farm down range, I don't think, but Aeroblast is massive overkill. I tried to undercharge that, but it doesn't work out for me. I do make a catch here on the Ancient Power, but I still need to reach another Aeroblast, and we don't get there in time. So, unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up on there into the next battle, and another bad lead for the Regieleki. We say swap into Regidrago, and the opponent going to choose to stay in here. So this point, I'm going to shield the first move as they fire off a Bone Club, and now they swap into Primate. Now, if they don't go for an Ice Punch or a Close Combat, I should be able to tank a Rage Fist and grab both shields from the Primate. So I'm going to no-shield this. Do they full send? Nope, they go for a Rage Fist bait. That's fine with me. Dragon Energy should be grabbing the final shield, and I'm actually not going to waste any time here. I come back in with the Regieleki, forcing them to throw and hopefully forcing them to swap back into their Marowak, which they do, which is now fine with me because we can come in with the Shadow Lugia, and whilst, yes, of course, they've got Rock Slide for coverage, I can just safely shield up once and then overfarm massively in this matchup and then fire off a Fly to get the KO. So we shield up the Rock Slide there. My Switch Shock is coming up very soon, but I am just going to fire off the charge move. Fly, of course, should get the KO from that range, and let's see what they want to do. They come in with Greninja, but the opponent makes a really nice catch there. We full send the Aeroblast, but Aeroblast gets caught. We fully undercharge it, but it's such a good move that it still gets the KO anyways. But Lugia, super bulky. We tank the Night Slash. We swap, we catch onto Regidrago, and now it just depends. Can Lugia get the KO with a Fly up against Greninja from this range? Fly does get the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to win there into the next battle, Regieleki into Dust Noir. So this is a neutral matchup, however, unfortunately, I'm not going to reach 2 charge moves before they fully astonish farm me all the way down. So we throw here just before they get that farm down. I'm going to swap. They actually swap out straight away into a Gastrodon, which is quite interesting. Obviously, I would prefer it to be aligned to my Lugia, but they're going to go for a Body Slam. I'm now going to go and overfarm just slightly here. Excuse me there. And we're going to go for Dragon Energy, but that just barely doesn't quite put them into farm down range before they reach another charge move. Now here, I'm aware that Dust Noir has a ton of energy. I assume they probably win CMP in this matchup. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really use Regidrago that often. But here, we're going to fire the Dragon Energy, and then I will be forced to swap into my Lugia. Dragon Energy grabs a shield there. We actually swap, but the opponent once again swaps at the same time. They come in with a Shadow Dragonair. The opponent going straight for Wrap, debuff in my defense. I'm going to look to overfarm, but unfortunately, I'm still 2 Dragon Tails away from the next move here, which means they can come in, go for the full Astonish farm down. Now, I'm very close to a move on my Regidrago. If they don't throw straight away, potentially we get to the move, but they do just blind throw. I think possibly if I came in with Regieleki, forced them to throw, we might have got to a Dragon Energy at the last second, but unfortunately, we don't, and so we do lose that game. So, GG top on there, into the next battle, we're going to see Greninja in the lead, so a great lead matchup for the Regieleki. Can we commit to a full Volt Switch farm down here? I'm going to shield the first move as they fire off a Night Slash, and the fact they're staying in means surely they are weak to Regieleki in the back. Now, unfortunately, I don't quite get the Dragon Breath Snipe before they do reach a Night Slash, but we're going to see the opponent comes in with a second Water-type Pokemon. So, Regieleki looking really strong here as well. This is just going to be a Hydro Cannon, which I'm able to tank very comfortably. I can fire off the Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy is going to be no-shielded by the Blastoise. The opponent possibly not reaching another charge move. They swap into their final Pokemon, but it's another Pokemon weak to Regieleki. So going straight for Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage is going to grabbing a shield there. We can get to a second Thunder Cage already. This is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and it's going to double debuff their defense, meaning these Volt Switches are absolutely shredding through their HP. The opponent gonna bait with an Air Cutter. They don't get the boost there, and so they just concede the match. So, GG top on there, into the next battle, we see Togekiss in the lead. So finally, these lead matchups are looking quite good for the Regieleki. The opponent also choosing to stay in once again. Now here, I didn't want to see my charge move get caught, so I'm going to shield. They actually full send a Dazzling Gleam, meaning I can go for a full farm down. But things get very awkward for me as they come in with a Carbink, a Pokemon that, whilst yes, we've got a lot of energy here, my backline is really going to struggle against, but we can reach back-to-back Thunder Cages and get to yet another Thunder Cage before they can farm me down. And not only that, I should be able to get off one more Volt Switch, putting them into range where even with double resisted damage from those Dragon Breaths, I should get a farm down, but they swap into their final Pokemon, an Empoleon. So here, I'm going to no-shield the Drill Peck, fire off a Dragon Energy, and then honestly, I probably should just stay in this matchup and fire off a second one, but I swap into my Shadow Lugia. Of course, I'm gonna have to no-shield here, as the opponent will be firing off a neutral Hydro Cannon, but a second one will unfortunately get the KO. Now, what I'm expecting is for the opponent to try and snipe with the Carbink, so I throw straight away, but they actually don't do that. Instead, they just stay in with the Empoleon. They can bank some energy, swap. This time they make the catch here, but that's not really what I wanted. I wanted to get that damage off whilst they had no energy on Empoleon, because now, unfortunately, Power Gem gets the KO, and whilst, yes, we can get the farm down, we come out with a charge move loaded, but they banked a move on Empoleon. They win CMP. Drill Peck takes out Regidrago, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle. We're going to see a bit of an awkward lead matchup for me, but this is still playable for sure, especially when they go straight for a Parabolic Charge. I can just safely no-shield the first move. I say safely, that still does a ton of damage, despite being resisted. I'm now going to go and look to debuff their defense there with these Thunder Cages. So, of course, they've boosted up the defense there. They are now one stage debuffed with that second Thunder Cage. Unfortunately, they do get a full farm down, but we can come in, and if they go and full send a play rough straight away, they shouldn't be able to reach another play rough. So I'm going to shield this. The opponent is going to full send it. They do reach another charge move, but this is not enough energy. Just going to be another parabolic charge. So no shield that. We get the Dragon Red farm down. They're going to come in with Altaria, and I'm going straight for Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy is not respected for some reason. I don't understand that play, especially since they have a Gastrodon in the back, so don't really know what the play was there. Either way, Lugia would have been looking fine anyways. I'm going to grab the final shield, swap into my Lugia, and we should be absolutely golden. All I need to do here is shield one of the charge moves coming from this Gastrodon, commit to an Aeroblast, and it will be game over. The opponent does win CMP. This should just be a Body Slam, but I'm going to play it safe anyways. And of course, we've clicked on the Aeroblast. Aeroblast, once again, gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. You can see Regieleki into a Shadow Scizor. So, once again, this is a good matchup for us, but we won't quite get a full Volt Switch farm down before they do reach back-to-back charge moves here. Potentially, if I throw a Thunder Cage straight away and they shield that, maybe I could get the farm down, so maybe that is the play there if you are using Regieleki. But either way, we get the farm down. Oh, sorry, we throw a charge move at the last second there. I'm going to swap into Regidrago, and I am able to reach a Dragon Energy up against this Credilli just before they do reach that Rock Tomb. So grab a shield there. I'm going to no shield this, as Depot is going to go for a Rock Tomb. Of course, debuff from my attack. But Regidrago can still outpace Credilli to the next charge move, and we do see a no shield. The opponent's going to swap into Blastoise. I'm going to bank the energy, swap into Regieleki, go straight for Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage grabs a shield there. The opponent committing to a full farm down, which they get, but unfortunately for them, we did bank that move on Regidrago. So Regidrago wins CMP this time around. Dragon Energy, of course, up against a debuff defense. Blastoise gets the KO, and the opponent is still kind of forced to throw some energy. So at this point, Rock Tomb gets the KO, but we can come in with the Lugia. They recognize we've still got a shield, so they just concede the match. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. We see Regieleki into a Galarian Corsola. So, we are going to see that, unlike the Dust Noir, we can actually tank the Astonish damage a lot more comfortably here. However, still not a great matchup for me, as they can tank a single Thunder Cage relatively comfortably here. Of course, if they shield the first one, the second one will do more damage, but they do correctly no-shield that first move. We say swap into Regidrago, as I didn't want to use a second charge move for such low HP there. So, the opponent's going to come in with Credilli, and they actually no-shield the first Dragon Energy, which is very interesting. Typically, Credilli users are always going to shield that first move, but either way, I'm going to look to overfarm here, fire off a second Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy number 2 actually grabs a shield, and they throw straight away. So this one, we put them into range where I can farm down with the Shadow Lugia. So we get that farm down there, and let's see, the opponent's going to come back in with the Corsola. I'm definitely going to shield and then commit to a full Dragon Tail farm down. Now, the opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a shiny Shadow Kanto Marowak. I'm going straight for Fly here. Fly, gonna grab a shield. I try to swap and go for a CMP tie sack swap there, but it doesn't work out as the opponent commits to the full Mud Slap farm down, meaning they have a Rock Slide loaded. They win CMP, but Lugia, super bulky, able to tank that. And of course, I just debuffed their defense. Fly gets the KO. We get a simultaneous KO up against the Corsola, and we end up tying that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. You see Shadow Credilli in the lead. I'm going to be safe swapping into Regidrago, and we can still just barely outpace this Shadow Credilli to a Dragon Energy before they get to the first Rock Tomb. Now here, I'm actually going to shield this because they are staying in with Credilli. They go for Rock Tomb before swapping into a Corviknight. Now this, of course, is not ideal for me. Once again, Regidrago completely walled here, but I'm actually going to shield this because I can bank all of this energy, swap into Regieleki, and because they full send a payback, I can still outpace them to that charge move. Thunder Cage coming through. It actually gets no shielded. It gets the KO there. They come back in with Shadow Credilli, and even though, of course, this is resisted damage, it actually grabs a shield because we are, of course, hitting for huge damage. We are very attack weighted, and they are a Shadow, but we've got so much energy here. I might as well just go straight for Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy gets the KO. Their final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Dusknoir, which is tricky for my Shadow Lugia, but we actually probably reach 2 charge moves before they can fully farm me down, and we do get to that second move there. So, of course, Dragon Energy takes out the Shadow Dusknoir, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to there into next battle. We see a Lairon in the lead. What on earth is this? This is a decent-ish matchup for me. Definitely where I want to see it as well. As of course, I am resisting the Metal Sound damage from the opponent. They are likely going to go for a Rock Tomb, looking to debuff my attack. But I've debuffed the defense there, so it kind of evens out. We are going to see a swap into a Shadow Machamp, but we go straight for Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage grabs the final shield, and now I come in with my Shadow Lugia. So this point, I'm going to no-shield the first move. I should be able to tank a Rock Side, but not as comfortably as I was expecting. And as well, they reach a cross shot. Now, this is double resisted. Honestly, I thought I could tank that. I do not tank it. And as a result, we might have just messed up this game here. We come in, and we are not going to get a full Dragon Breath farm down. Maybe should have come in with Regieleki, since I have debuffed the defense there. Those Volt Switches would do more damage. But unfortunately, I'm now going to sacrifice this thing, hoping that my Regidrago can sweep in the end game. But you're going to see that is going to backfire massively as Dragon Energy gets the KO there. And the opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Jellicent. So Regieleki would have easily swept this game here. But now, unfortunately, whilst I do still have a shield, I can't really do anything with it because they can just commit to a full farm down. They don't. But either way, it doesn't really matter. They do still have HP on the Shadow Machamp in the back. And unfortunately, I do lose that game. So, GG to opponent there. Very nice spice with the Lairon and the Shadow Machamp. But into the final battle, we're going to lead into a Shadow Primeape. And the opponent going to outpace me to that first charge move, but that's fine with me. I'm going to shield this, and then I will go straight for a Thunder Cage. Now, if they throw the next move immediately here, I'm going to look to try and catch it onto my Regidrago. I'm able to make the catch there. This is going to be a boosted Rage Fist, but doesn't deal too much damage there. And now they're going to swap into a Toxapex. So I'm going to look to overfarm ever so slightly in this matchup. If they commit to a full farm down, I will actually reach a second Dragon Energy before they get there, which is absolutely huge for me. Dragon Energy is going to be shielded by the opponent. I've put them into range where I can nearly get the KO with just a single Volt Switch. They throw immediately. They actually full send a Sludge Wave. They swap back into Primeape. We get the full farm down there, and the opponent is going to come back in with the Toxapex. I could have got the farm down, but instead, I swap into Lugia. They go for a Brine, and their final Pokemon gonna be a Talonflame, and this game is absolutely over. I can go for a Fly here. The opponent has to throw before I reach the next charge move, but it doesn't really matter, as we do have a move banked on Regieleki. The opponent actually looking to farm to 100 energy, and as a result, I get to the Fly, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.